Do not make this homeschooling curriculum mistake. You will regret it. So a lot of people, especially this time of year, are looking at switching curriculum. Now, I'm all for switching curriculum, but I'm for switching curriculum for the right reasons, and I'm going to go over that in this video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Mandy, the Handmade Homeschooler, and I am a curriculum-obsessed homeschooling mom who's been homeschooling her kids for going on 9 years now, I think. 8, 9? It's been a while. It's been a while. I am a former teacher and a mom of 2. So curriculum is kind of my thing. I talk about curriculum a lot. I review curriculum a lot. It was my passion as a teacher, and I was actually looking at being a curriculum developer before I got married. So I know a lot about curriculum, and I know a lot about how kids respond to curriculum. And one of the things that I do want to mention, especially because it is that time of year where everybody's looking to buy new curriculum, I want to say this. Do not switch out of mere boredom. And a lot of people make this mistake and then they get really upset when the curriculum doesn't work. So what happens usually is a family might just be bored with a curriculum and they're just looking to kind of spice things up. But take a step back before you switch out of boredom. I want you to ask this really important question before you switch curriculum. I want you to ask yourself, is this working for my kids? Because ultimately that is the biggest thing. Are your kids bored with the curriculum? Are they getting good grades in the curriculum? You need to really, really look at that before you switch. Because what will end up happening is a lot of times people will go from one extreme to the other, or what will happen is they switch from one style to another. So they'll go from like a Charlotte Mason to a traditional, and then their kids kind of mentally freak out because this is totally different than what they're used to, and they don't know how to handle that big of a change in their curriculum. So one thing that I would suggest is if you are bored and if your kids are bored with it, if you have a Charlotte Mason style curriculum, switch to a different Charlotte Mason style curriculum. I would be really leery of switching styles of curriculum on your kids, especially if it's in the middle of the year. So watch for that. Also, are you yourself as the parent bored with the curriculum, or are your kids bored with the curriculum? That's another thing to ask yourself. And the last thing I would ask is, are my kids learning and growing, and are their grades okay? That is really big. One of the indicators that I know that it's time to switch curriculum is if my kids are bombing the class. If they are completely bombing the class, they're not understanding it, and we are kind of like fighting each other on it, then that could be a good indication that it's time to go ahead and switch and try something else. For my oldest, we really hit a wall with Matthew C. And we got to like 4th grade or so, and it really started to just become frustrating for him because he was not understanding the material. And no matter how I taught it or how the instructor taught it, he just wasn't getting it. And while I knew Matthew C was a great curriculum, it wasn't jiving for him. He wasn't getting that. So we did the free trial of teaching textbooks, and it was just like the light bulb came on, and he was like, I like this. I understand what he's saying. And we were able to move on. It wasn't a totally different style of teaching. It was just a different curriculum. So I would be very careful of switching styles if you've been doing one specific style for so long. Just be careful of that. That's not saying that you can't switch styles. I'm just saying be careful. You might want to like ease into it just to make sure that it's working well for them and that it's going to work well for your family. I wouldn't completely overhaul and go from like simply Charlotte Mason to a Becca or BJU all in one swing. I would maybe try like one subject if you want to switch styles. It's not impossible to switch styles. It's really not. You can do it. I'm just saying ease into it. So my kids prefer more traditional styles, so like a Becca, BJU, those brands typically work well with my kids. That doesn't work for every kid. So I know if I switch them to like Simply Charlotte Mason, they would be like, what are we doing? I don't know what this is. But that doesn't mean that we don't dip our toe into some of it. So like my 6th grader, now going to be 7th grade, he uses Redefining School with Mrs. Mindy for reading, and that's a Charlotte Mason style, and he's totally getting it. So that doesn't mean that you can't use that. I'm just saying we're not overhauling everything Simply Charlotte Mason, because I don't think he would like a Charlotte Mason style science class, if that makes sense. He would probably not like that. He likes a more traditional style science. So really pay attention to the styles that your kids like of curriculum before you overhaul as well. Really pay attention to your kids before you switch. And I also want to make the point, please ask them. If they are at the age where they can give input about curriculum, ask them before you switch. Because they may really, really enjoy this curriculum that you have already, and they may be just fine. And then you switch it, and then they might be really upset, and then you've already spent a ton of money and can't send it back. So just be careful of that before you switch. My family, we're really eclectic, and we like a lot of different styles and different things, but I've noticed that my kids kind of do better with one style for this subject and another style for this subject, and I've really tried to pay attention to what those are and kind of like just make notes to myself in my journal and in my planner and be like, okay, I need to look for this style for this child in this subject, and just take note of what they like. So my kids have made it explicitly clear I am never to switch them from teaching textbooks. They both love teaching textbooks. They don't want another style. They don't want another curriculum. They are not bored with it. Yes, it's math, and math is kind of dry, but they're like, don't switch us. We like this. We want to stay with this. So even if I, for whatever reason, didn't like teaching textbooks, I would not change that. I would not change that on them. Which I don't. I love teaching textbooks. I'm just saying, as an example. So just be really careful. Even if you're bored with something and you see a new curriculum and you're like, I really want to try that, I would highly suggest talking to your kids before you switch. Maybe you're just kind of over the curriculum that you have or whatever, and you just want to try a different style. Just ask yourself those questions first and make sure that it's going to work well with you and your kids before you spend the money on it and then regret it in the end, because there is a lot of curriculum regret around September. Also, check out the review videos that I have here on my channel, because I like to review curriculum for you so you can see if it's going to work well for you and your family. I like to do really, in-depth reviews as much as I can. That way you can make the most informed decision for you and your family. For us, we definitely like the more traditional style in some things, and in other things, they like the more Charlotte Mason and classical. I mean, we've kind of got a really mixed bag here at my house. We have everything from traditional to classical here, but that's just us. Being kind of an eclectic family, we just kind of have a mixed bag, and that's totally okay. And if your kids do well with that, then that's totally okay, and that's what you should do. But just pay attention to those, indicators. Talk to your kids. Ask them, like, did you like this one? Do you want to continue on to the next one next year? And, kids are usually pretty honest with this type of stuff. They'll let you know whether or not they liked it. I usually ask my kids those questions, and then I show them the next year's curriculum for that same brand, show them what was next up in line, and then they'll tell me whether or not they would like it. And I give them options too. There's all different ways that you can do this depending on the age and stage of your kids. And you know your kids best. Are they going to like more of an adventure style type of reading curriculum, or more of a classic type with classic books? Hopefully this was helpful for you, and let me know down in the comment section, what kind of style are you guys? Are you classical? Are you Charlotte Mason? Are you traditional? Are you mixed bag like me? What do you guys do? I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and happy homeschooling.